think there comes a point in every man's life sometime around his 30s where he has to look at himself and say, is it time that I get my dream sports car? Is it finally time? Well, for me, the answer was yes. Now, I've been wanting a Corvette since I was a kid. I'm talking about very young, 4 or 5 years old. I had the little, miniature die-cast versions of them, and I was just always obsessed with the shape of them. And as I grew older, that never changed. So I had a 2013 Civic Si, this one right here, picture. And I love that car. Honestly, that was the first car that I ever bought cash. It was the first car I ever owned the title for. It got me across the country twice in 1 year. Very reliable, super fun vehicle, very clean, and I'm gonna miss it. However, it never broke. It literally was too reliable, and I can't believe I'm saying that. So I wanted to sell it and get this Corvette. What did I land on? Landed on this absolutely beautiful 1994 LT1 in Arctic White, 6-speed manual. I could not be more ecstatic about my purchase. Like I said, I am the 6th owner of this car. The previous 2 owners were collectors. They didn't drive it at all. So this thing was more or less just sitting for years. And the overall condition is really good. Mechanical is great. You start looking into the weather stripping here, you can see this all needs to get replaced. It's pretty dry rotted. We're gonna get to that in due time. But I've had this car for 3 days now, and I didn't think it'd be this quick, and we're already running into major issues. So I don't know how well y'all can tell, but my driveway here is on a pretty serious incline. So I was cleaning the engine bay last night, and once I got it to a point where I was happy with, the way it looked, I wanted to crank it back up, just see how everything was running, do some inspection stuff, because I'm still getting to know the car and getting to know its, its kinks, its ins and outs and all of that. Quirks, not kinks. Anyway, so as the car is running, I smell gas, and I smell it bad, really bad. And I look at the back of my car, and it is leaking fuel profusely, like a faucet. So I kind of panicked. I didn't really know what to do in the moment. I just turned the car off, and I let that fuel leak, because there's honestly nothing I could do. So we're at the rear end of the car here. I'm gonna show y'all what I was seeing. So the fuel was leaking from this port right here. All that is a drain port for the cover that holds your spare tire. I was like panicking in the moment, and I didn't know what the hell was going on. I tried to plug that hole, and obviously that wouldn't fix anything. So if we can drop this down, this is your spare tire cover. It's on these little hooks in the back, which are kind of a pain in the ass, but once you drop it all the way down, you have better access to the fuel components and all that stuff in here. So there's actually an overflow tube right here, and I saw that there was the other end of this tube was leaning down here, or it fell down somewhere around here. At the time, I thought that was the cause of the problem because fuel was coming out of the line. I didn't know where that line went to, but obviously that's not the problem. But it was full of fuel, which means if we go back up here, I have the boot removed right now, but there's a boot that goes in here with a drain port, and that drain port is for overflow so it doesn't go in your car. And that goes down the line all the way down to, like I said, where is it at? This little guy right here. That little guy right there. So by my mechanical deductions, I couldn't see what was going on back here, but if a bunch of fuel was coming out of there, that means what? Probably had to come up out of here somewhere, right? That makes sense. Or a broken line or something. I don't really know. So part of the reason I'm doing this vlog is to show my process of how I'm going to repair this car. A lot of it is trial and error and just kind of shotgun maintenance, but also to post for help from all you Corvette guys out there that know how to work on these things way better than I can. So I'm about to replace the fuel pump. I'm going to show y'all how I do it. But if you've listened this far and you're like, bro, that's not going to fix your problem, feel free to hit me up in the comments, because we're going to dig into it. But anyway, guys, y'all are stoked to follow my journey with me. I'm going to be posting video updates every time I work on this car. So let's get into it. Without further ado, day one, vlog one, Fuel pump time, baby. Let's go. Well, first step of this process is obviously gonna be to get the parts. So let's head over to AutoZone and buy all the shit. So we out here at AutoZone right now picking up the parts for this fuel pump, which is hopefully the issue. Got some hose clamps. I'm having my guy help me out get the pump right now. This is gonna be the overflow tubing. So let's buy these parts and see what we can do. Okay, just got back. I'm gonna show y'all what I picked up here. So we got the new fuel pump itself, fuel pump strainer. This is gonna be the new overflow tube, I think, probably. And then I got a couple other various types of tubing in case I need to replace any fuel lines themselves, which I'm guessing I'm going to have to. And then a bunch of clamps. So I don't know if this is gonna, like I said, fix my issue here, but it's a good place to get started. And for a vehicle that has been sitting for 10 years, it's probably good I swap the fuel pump regardless. So I'm gonna get right into it. First step of this process is gonna be disconnect your battery. Working on a fuel system, we don't want any type of electrical current possible. We don't want any fires or anything like that. So disconnect the battery. And I've actually already kind of started on this yesterday. We're gonna have to remove the fuel cap cover. I'll show you that. And there's this boot that sits under here. It's a little rubber boot. Let me turn my camera around. So I already removed the fuel boot. This is what sits underneath the gas cover. It was super torn up, as you can see. So I just did like a half-ass super glue job. I'm gonna replace this for sure, but for now, this is just so it's not all torn to shreds. Also, say hello to Doom. This is the shop dog. Y'all gonna be seeing him a lot. So very interesting spot for the battery, kind of not the easiest to get to unless you take this panel off right here. So we're gonna disconnect the negative terminal and get to work. That was just a 5/16 bolt head. That's disconnected. I'm just gonna kind of push it out of the way, make sure that metal's not contacting anything. We're good. All right, tried to get y'all the best angle I could here with my current setup. So this seems like an incredibly easy fuel pump, like comically easy. We shall see though. So to access it, first things first, lift up your fuel door, and then you have 4 T15 screws along the edge of the plate itself. I've already removed these back too. I just kind of put this back on so my car didn't have an exposed fuel area overnight. Take these off. And normally this piece is in there. I already removed it last night to start the repair process. And this just lifts right out. I'm gonna show y'all what I see. So this was filthy. I actually went in here and already cleaned this last night. This is currently what my system looks like. So I'm guessing the more I look at it, it seems like this, whatever's going on right here, looks like some type of line repair. That might have been where the fuel is coming from. Let's check this out. I also cleaned the cap last night as well. It's like anything you can do to clean any part, I think is a good preventative maintenance technique. It looks kind of rusty and crusty in here, but if you look down inside, there we go. I had to get my camera to turn on. I don't even know how well you're gonna be able to see. My camera is shit. Anyway, what I'm getting at is I can still see gas in there and it looks fine. So all of these lines look pretty terrible. I bought what I could to replace what I can today. So let's just start tearing this apart. We got this one electrical connector right here, which has to come off, and then you have your couple of lines and the bolts / screws mounting this thing in. Let's pull it out. All right, got my cap off. Back to the side for now. Now I got to get this electrical connector here, which I believe pulls out. now we got that. Hold on, boys! Alright, so there's our electrical connector right there. Set to the side. Now I have to take off these clamps. I'm going to do that with a 1/4-inch socket. And they don't need to be completely loose. Just loose enough to move the lines out of the way. There's 3 of them. Okay. Alright, this is going to take me a little while. We will be back shortly. Don't be afraid to get forceful with these. It seems like that's the trick. The lines aren't too degraded, but you do gotta really fucking pull on them. Alright, so I always try to put the lines in a place where they're out of the way, but also in a logical place to find them again. So I'm just putting these, like a line's going here, it's going in this little portion, this little square part for this return line over here. I'm gonna try to put this last one somewhere out of the way as well. This top line looks like it's gonna be the trickiest to get off. And it looks like this might also be some type of repair job that was done that might be the main issue of the leak, more so than the fuel pump itself, but we're gonna find out. Remember when I said this was gonna be easy? Foolish. So there is some kind of crazy 2-clamp repair shit going, I don't know, but I gotta take it apart. It's causing me issues. It's a bitch and a half getting a grip on this motherfucking thing. Happy Thanksgiving. I get to spend it replacing a fucking fuel pump. All right, well, I'm no rocket surgeon here, but I think that looks fucked up. So I already pulled this apart, but this is what I was just telling y'all about. So I had a clamp. There was two clamps on here, one here, one here. The other one slid down there somewhere. I'll get it in a second. So I saw this. That's just a fitting. Everything looks more or less good on this side. But this thing, this just looks like shrink wrap, but I don't know. This whole tube just looks fucked up. I wouldn't be surprised if this was leaking. I'm about to run some fluid through it and see if I see any leaks. But this is where we're at right now. Have our three tubes removed. The electrical connector goes here. That's disconnected. So all I have to do now is take these bolts out, and that's what we're about to do next. Stand by. Okay, so I just removed all of the bolts. There are 8 10mm bolts. I had to take a break there, and believe it or not, couldn't find my 10mm. Those never go missing. So anyway, this is what I'm looking at. So I took the electrical connector and I'm just kind of wrapping it around to get it out of the way so it's not going to be flopping all over the place. Oh, would you look at that? I'm glad I did this. Just found another bolt I missed. The camera doesn't want to pick up on. Yeah, so it looks like I lied. There's actually 9 bolts. So I'm going to pull that bolt out, and then y'all are going to watch me try to pull this thing out the car. All right, so now that the 9th bolt is out, this should be ready to pull. I got my little standby towel, and I also have the cover right here, which I'm gonna put on after I pull this out, just so my gas tank area is covered and no contaminants can get in the tank, such as dirt, dust, or bullshit. Wish me luck. So there was another gentleman I watched do this. I'll link his name right here. So I'm not going into this completely blind, but I have never done a gas pump before in any vehicle. But I do come from an aviation mechanic background, so I figured this can't be too difficult, right? As I say that, okay. Looks like we almost got this out here. Yeah, that's not so bad. Shit wasn't hard at all. All right, here we go. This thing looks fucking disgusting. So let's go change the camera angle and see what we're gonna do to this fucking thing here. Okay, so I got a little ahead of myself. I pulled the whole unit, right? Y'all saw that. I already went ahead and I replaced the fuel pump itself. That's this portion right here, this little unit, and the filter screen, whatever you want to call it. And that's all that I need to replace on this, I believe. The only other things are your fuel flow, which is going to be your level sensor, and that's really it. It looks like there's a sensor at the top of the tank here that's, I'm guessing, an overfill sensor. Other than that, this thing's ready to go back in. I also cleaned it up as much as I could. It's still, you know, it's not perfect, but it's not in any condition that I think I need to replace it, like the whole unit. Also, look at this disgusting thing. I pulled the fuel tank gasket off, and holy shit, I cannot with any good conscience put this back on my vehicle. So I'm gonna go look at my parts stores with an hour left on Thanksgiving before they close. Wish me luck. Here we go. Okay, well, I couldn't find any auto shops that have this gasket in stock, and I really didn't want to have to pull this shit back apart just to install a new one. Luckily, believe it or not, this is the same gasket I just showed y'all. This is like made of super rubber. There was corroded metal on both sides, and I thought this thing was just gonna crumble to pieces, but I was actually able to get a lot of the metal off by hand, and then I used a Brillo pad to get the rest of it off, and this is gonna work great. So I'm gonna slap this back together. Let's go. All right, got this beautiful new fuel pump assembly finished. Now I'm just going to fish it back in the tank. Same way I took it out. There goes the hat. Alright, and also guys, another thing to make sure you do is check your electrical connector that's on this thing before you put it back in. I already did that with mine. Alright, so this is back in. I got my holes lined up, and I just realized I forgot my bolts, so I'm gonna go get those. Be right back. It is windy as hell. Let's get this thing put back together before the sun goes down. So the bolts are on. Now I have to reconnect all my tubing. All right, it is very much nighttime, but it was Thanksgiving, so I took a break from the work and I just had some food. I am so confident that this is gonna start right up. You know, I guess we'll see what happens. Y'all are gonna watch with me. So let's just shut my door. Just turn the electrics on. So first good sign is my fuel gauge is reading, so that's good. I don't know why my AC is on. Let's turn that off. All right, here we go. You gotta love when things work the first time. God, I love this car. All right, well, I guess she's working. So yeah, I hope this was something cool for y'all to watch. I'm about to go have some drinks with the family here, my extended family, I should say, in California. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I'm gonna be doing these vlogs as often as I work on the car. Some are gonna be short, some are gonna be much longer, like this one. I wanted the first one to be a little bit more in depth and kind of lengthy anyway. So thanks for watching, everyone. My name's Kenny Graves. You can follow me on all my social medias at Kenny Graves, and I'll see you next time.